Okay guys, this is the first video in making the tool chest. As you guys can see, I have my tool chest here. This is the project we're all working on. It's a lovely chest of drawers, if you will. So right now, Hunter's got his stock ready. We're going to be making the dovetails in the frame of this thing with the router. Okay, so we have a Leigh dovetail jig, and we've actually got it mostly all set up here. Just so you know, as far as dovetails go, there's two different parts to the dovetail. There's the actual dovetail, which, if you can see, this is our tail board here. So in relation to the face, our angles go like this, and that's what looks like the dove's tail, right? And then we have the pins, and those are the ones that lock into the tails, right? So this joint is actually designed to be strong in one direction, and it doesn't really have a lot of strength in the other. So in this case, it's resisting the sides getting pulled out. That's how a lot of case construction is often made. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that. I won't. Sorry, crash as I wreck my demo one there. Thanks, Hunter. Okay, so I just want to show you guys how we've got this thing set up. So Hunter has all of his stock already prepped exactly to size. This is really critical. Okay, so it's exactly 12 inches by 18 inches, and his sides are exactly 12 inches by 12 inches. Most importantly, his ends are cut perfectly square, and we've checked that by taking his two sides and making sure that they're flush, and then flipping one and making sure that it's still flush. This is a really easy way to check to make sure that it's square. Okay, so when you guys are trimming these ends on our miter saw, make sure that you're taking the time to blow away any sawdust and make sure that between the fence and the base is really clean, and you get a really nice clear cut there. Make sure that the handle is locked into 0 as well. Okay, so also now, so he's done that, done a really nice job, and he's also decided which face he wants to see on both the sides and the top and the bottom. Okay, and we've labeled that face. So on the sides, he's decided he wants to see this face on the outside, so we've labeled that face. This one here is going to be, it's a long one, so it's going to be a tail board. Our long ones are going to be tail boards, and they're going to be the first ones that we cut. Hugely important right here, guys. This, for the tail boards, when you label face, face goes into the machine. Okay, so you don't see, we're basically looking at it from the underside. Okay, so face goes that way. So that's how we position this thing in the machine. We got a backing board here. It's cut really nice and crisp and clean. If you guys all use the same shape template, you guys won't have to re-crispen that up or anything. It's just going to stay the same. And that just serves as a backing just to prevent chip out on the back side of the top when we run our cutter all the way through there. Okay, so there's two fingers on the side here. We run our board up, and it's perfectly flush underneath all of these fingers. So it's actually, the board is physically touching all of these fingers, and it's basically touching these two pins on the side here as well, telling me that it's a perfectly square board and it's good to go. Okay. The bar is locked in just with a cam clamp, so you can kind of crank it till it's kind of close, and then lock it down. It should be tight, but not like, you don't have to really lean on these things, okay, because you will do a bit of damage. So that's pretty good there. Next thing we've done is we've taken a board that we know is going to be adjacent to this. So we have a top in the machine now. We have a side that's going to be going into it. We want to just put it underneath the fingers as well. Make sure that that's nice and flush there. And we've put a line underneath, and I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but there's a line that's exactly here indicating the thickness of the side. Okay, and that is done so that we can then take our router. We're going to be using the black Porter cable here because this has our dovetail shaped bit in it. And we can put that on here and make sure that the bottom of the bit is perfectly lined up to that line that we've just made there. Okay, so I've already done this. Just to show you guys how I made that adjustment, I just undo this guy right here, and then I just turn the router, and that goes up and down just like that. Clamp that back in place, and now I'm ready to do this. By the way, when we're doing these adjustments with the router, it is unplugged, always. Okay, these things are super dangerous. Also make sure that the switch is off, because when I plug this thing in, I don't want it to fire right up right away, and this is probably one of the most dangerous operations we're going to do in the shop here. Okay, so make sure that's unplugged. Okay, so we have our depth set, we've got our board in here, we have our face pointing inwards. We're pretty much ready to go. Hunter's chosen the kind of dovetail layout that he wants for this, and we've also put little X's where we're going to cut. And I want you guys to do this every time we make a cut, okay, so that we don't accidentally kind of get in the groove and just kind of cut everything, because we don't want to do that. Everywhere there's a rounded entry point, we want to put an X. So I want to cut with my dovetail cutter an X here, 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 and here. Okay? I do not want to cut in these gaps here. Okay? Safety protection, you guys certainly need glasses. This thing throws a lot of chips. You may even decide that you want a shield. Certainly you can use that as well. And these things are really loud, so I really want to see you guys wear ear protection as well when you're doing this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug the router in now. Okay, and just technique-wise, this is really important to note. Two-hand grip, always. This is super important. There's a little bit of torque here when this thing first fires up. So make sure you have a good, solid two-hand grip here when we're using the machine. Super critical that this whole base is perfectly flat at all times, all the way across the comb here. This is what we call the comb. Okay? We want that perfectly flat across there. When I'm all done, and I've cut my very last one, I'm going to hold it steady on there while I turn it off. I'm going to let the machine fully stop, and then I can pull it out and put it back on the rack. Okay? So here we go. I'm just going to do this one quick for you guys, and I'll show you how it goes. So. Okay, so I held it on there, turned it off, and then waited for it to stop. So as you guys can see, it's kind of messy, right? Yeah, don't wear your most favorite clothes when it's time for you to do this operation. You guys can see here how that looks, right? Just another sort of a quick technique thing as well. I really want to make sure that that's a full clean cut all the way. So what I'm doing is I'm allowing the guide bushing that's on there underneath the table to just be pushed or pressed slightly with slight pressure on the sides of these as I'm going in. So on these ones that look like they're almost straight in and out, I'm pushing just slightly to the one side on the way in and just slightly to the other side on the way out, making sure that I get a good full clean cut all the way, okay? That's it for the one side. Because this is a tail board, it's tails on both ends, so we're going to pop this loose, and we're going to rotate this like a clock, because again, I want to make sure that the face that I have labeled face stays pointing inward. Okay, so we just rotate it like a clock, back up, double check that I'm touching everywhere along here, and that looks good. Okay, so these adjustments never change. That's the beauty of the cam clamp, they're quick. And now I'm ready to mark this yet again. So remember, everywhere there's a rounded entry point, we're remarking that so we don't lose track and cut the wrong thing. And now we're ready to cut that again. Okay, Hunter's going to do that again on his other long board as well. He's going to cut another set of tails in there, and then we're going to move on to pin boards. So that will be our second video. That's it.